access level has recently increased. Excellent.
Incoming message.
Welcome, agents, to episode 91 of Behind the Scanner. Our special guests tonight are Jason McCarthy, founder and CEO of GORUCK.
I have a question for our guests.
Join us during the broadcast in our live chat room on our website, behindthescanner.com. Or you can submit questions through the YouTube Q&A tool. If you know someone who would make a great guest, submit their information to us at behindthescanner.com and click on Guest Suggestions. Subscribe to our channel and watch previous recordings on YouTube. For all the latest updates and news, follow us on Google+. And now, it's time for Behind the Scanner. All right. So it's a little different because I did those live and not pre-recorded. So good evening. Welcome to a very special episode of Behind the Scanner. I know many of you have been looking forward to this one. I know I have. I'm Kelly Colton, aka Agent Kelly from Chicago. And my co-host tonight is Jorge Pedrero from Mexico City. Hey,
hello,
good
guys.
seeing you.
Hey, Kelly.
Glad you survived the anomaly.
Well, I'm on rehab, so hopefully it's not permanent damage in any way.
Very cool. We also have with us this week Connor Tumbleston from FevGames. And we have Jim from Operation Essex for the Weekly Truth. There's lots of news to report from both of our segments. I can't wait for that.
Absolutely.
But right now, I'd like to introduce our very special guests. We have Jason McCarthy, the founder and CEO of GORUCK, coming to you from Jacksonville, Florida. And another face that you might see around many of the GORUCK and Ingress events, who is a major player in getting the partnership started, is Brock Myers from Ashburn, Virginia. Welcome, gentlemen, to the show.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
It's a pleasure. So let's get started with a couple getting to know you questions. I know we want to get to GORUCK and Ingress, but Jason, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I've got a dog named Monster. I always lead with Monster, right? He's awesome. Before GORUCK, I was in the Army Special Forces, did that from 03 to 08, and then got out and started GORUCK, and it's just, one year after another, just sort of doing our thing. We say in America we're building better Americans. Led a lot of events to date, and we built some gear too, but the focus is people. So life's good. Life's good down here.
Very cool. And Rock, how about you? Tell us a little something about yourself.
Well, I'm kind of the old guy and of GORUCK and Ingress, it seems. But I've always been sort of a geek and adventure sort of hound, and so I found GORUCK, later found Ingress, and along the way decided there were two things that ought to be done at the same time. So I started doing it by myself.
Very cool.
Well, I am muted. No, I'm not muted. Yeah. Okay. Brock, how did you get started with Ingress? Can you tell us about that?
Sure. I work in games research, and I judge a lot of game competitions, and I test games for a lot of companies. And so when the opportunity came up to be one of the testers and early players in Ingress, I signed up to do that. But where I'm living, there were no portals for a really long time, maybe like 3 in the whole county, and it wasn't very much fun unless I drove all the way into D.C. somewhere. So I put it aside for a little bit, but then started playing again really hard in 2012, and just because I was in the games business, I followed it and liked it and knew it was going to be popular.
Well, so what are your thoughts about augmented reality games like Ingress? Are they the future?
I love these kinds of games. I think that's really the way to go. The thing that makes the games fun is when you're playing any first-person game, it feels like you're in the game. They call it immersion, but immersion is just sort of like a substitute for really being in the game, and that's what these alternate reality and augmented reality games do, is allow people like the agents to get right in and be part of the game and play a part and not just control a part.
Yeah, that's right. Jason, what led you to the game of Ingress?
The guy that you just talked to about Rock is the short answer. Here's the brief synopsis: is GORUCK started out with one backpack. I was getting out of the military. I was like, hey, the military's got all the best stuff, but we need to sort of be able to take this and make it civilian friendly as well, and military still so that it could function. And that was years of my life figuring out how to make that happen. And then nobody wanted to buy the bags, right? And then so the GORUCK Challenge came about, and that was 2010. And so that's an event. You've got one guy, one special forces guy, who shows up and leads this super small team, elite team, or tip of the spear, or however you want to call it, on an adventure, right? A team building experience, and you can't know what it's like until you sign up. And so that was years and years and years of this bag and this event. So GR1 and the challenge, and eventually, Rock came into our lives, and he found specifically within GORUCK Emily, and she was very, just the love. By the way, she's the love of my life, so it's awesome. Made it easier in some ways, but she was very receptive to what Rock was saying about how we integrate an augmented reality game with what GORUCK is, which is different, right? It's weird. It's a gear company that also produces live events, and how do we introduce that or integrate that into a video game, quote, quote, right? And so that was years of their lives, and the first time I heard about it, it was when, it was Google, right? It wasn't Ingress to me, it was Google. And I was like, man, Google's never going to give us the time of day, right? Like, this is going to be one of those things that we spend years on, just wasting our time, and rat in a cage style stuff. We've got other stuff to do. Let's do other stuff. But Emily and Rock kept at it, and eventually, we did a live event, and the royal we, right, did a live event out in San Francisco for the Niantic folks, and that was the early stages of it. And I got in Ingress because of that, and we could probably say that. I mean, now I play a lot. Let's just say that I play every day. I really like it. I like the community aspect. I'm actually ahead of Rock now. Rock loves me for that. And but no, I play every day, almost every day, and just really enjoy the community aspect and the people aspect of above all else.
Yeah, that's the coolest thing of Ingress, the community aspect, and well, you're in a community. Can you tell us which community? I mean, which is your faction?
I'm Resistance.
Yay! Great, man.
Something tells me Jorge was going to like that answer.
You did the right choice.
So, Jason, what would you say the challenges that GORUCK faces in making that partnership effective?
So initially, I mean, we had to figure out what we wanted to be, right, within this partnership. And, we struggled, at least very early, to say, is this GORUCK integrating into Ingress, or is this Ingress integrating into GORUCK, right? And what we've discovered throughout the events that we've led is that it's GORUCK integrating into Ingress and not the other way around, right? Like we're adding an additional layer to what Ingress is, specifically the live events. I mean, that's our focus, right? I mean, we're in zero role as far as what the gameplay is, what happens on your scanner and stuff, you know, like all of that stuff. That, like, man, Niantic's really good at what they do, right? And like, let's let them do that. But what we can do is add some additional elements to the human terrain, to the live events, and that's what we've focused on. And you know, luckily we've had years and years and years of practice, and so the integration happened really quickly. And you know, I think that's just because the partnership is that good. It's what Rock saw in his head long before I did, long before anybody else could have or would have or should have. Is he saw why this could work, and you know, it's centered around the live events.
Neat. Well, Rock, one of the things that you said was that Ingress and GORUCK go together like PB&J, like peanut butter and jelly, just made for each other. Can you expand on the ways that the two activities complement each other, and how exactly did you get that moment of inspiration? When did you get that to integrate the two, or to bring that partnership about?
Well, a couple of things happened. One, I was doing Northern Virginia Ingress, which means you put your backpack on and you hike a half a kilometer between portals, and so it's not close. You either drive or you ruck. And it started occurring to me, this could actually be kind of fun if you could make it work with the story. And then I started talking with agents who were, you know, level 16 twice and super mega points and AP, and they're saying, you know what, I'm getting ready to do something else because I'm tired of just playing with my scanner all the time. I want it to be more interesting. I need a challenge. And then I was talking with there are many people who have done repeated GORUCK events, and they're saying, I really like it, I love the community, but I'm getting tired of sort of pretending that we're doing downed pilot missions or some other mission that's not really there. It would be really cool if we could somehow have a more realistic mission that we were doing. And so that's how I came to the idea that they would really go together, which is give people a game and a narrative to fit into, and fit the physical side of the GORUCK challenge into that, and it would fulfill both of those needs that each side was having. And knowing that they both were very dedicated communities, I didn't have any problem. I knew that the communities would want to come together.
So then, Rock, the other side of that, though, that you've told me is that you ran into John Hankey at a convention or something, and he'd already bought GR1. So tell the rest of the story.
Well, part of this has been just serendipity, because I was at a meeting with John for a totally different reason, and but I had my ruck with me, and John looked and he said, "Are you a GRT?" And I said, "Yeah, are you?" And he said, "No, but I love their gear." And he ran out and got his ruck and brought it back, and we talked about it. And I said, "Well, you know what? I think that GORUCK and Ingress would really go together." And he agreed. So I said, "Do you want me to introduce you to Jason?" He said, "Sure." And that was about almost 4 years ago now.
Was it really?
Almost.
Man.
And then, so it took a little while to form up, but that's really kind of how it happened. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. And I knew two people who really cared about getting people fit and making them, helping them find a path to improve themselves and push their boundaries.
So guys, we are talking with Jason, founder of GORUCK and GORUCK Navigator, and if you are watching us on YouTube or wherever you are watching us, you can chat with us on our website, behindthescanner.com. You can ask whatever you wonder, interact with Jesse, and Walter, I think he's there too, so please ask. You can. Hey, there it is. There is. You have to click at the top where it says chat and go. Just ingress on our chat. So let's get back to the interview. Jason, we'd like to hear more about the GORUCK and Ingress partnership. How it came to be. Now we are listening that you met with John Hackey 4 years ago, so this is almost before Ingress went out. So why did it take so long to incorporate GORUCK into the Ingress world for us?
Well, I mean, I think we're pushing a lot of boundaries here, right? Like, so how do I say this? Like, Ingress is pioneering, from my perspective, is pioneering what it means to be a video game, right? And they're pioneering that because you play it with your phone, and it builds communities in the real world. And I think that pushed, like, Ingress could not help it but have live events. Why? Because the community was so strong, they're just begging for it. They want to come, they want to do something awesome as a part of this community in the real world. And I think that is just, I mean, this vision, this way of doing things as a video game is just so far superior to every other game out there. I mean, like, it's just so much better than sitting in your house and you know, playing Click Ninja on something, and you know, you win or you lose or whatever, right? Meanwhile, at the same time, GORUCK started with a bag, right? Same way that Niantic started with a video game. And the bag sort of drove us to create live events. And so, parallel paths, you have two companies that started out with something that's very unusual to develop into live events, but both companies did because the communities that they've developed were so strong. And, you know, yes, I'm very proud to be a part of the GORUCK community, but I'm also very proud to be a part of the Ingress community. Awesome, right? And so the way that these two communities have just merged at the same time is, like, that takes time. So yeah, it took a couple years and it took some conversations because it's hard to visualize how exactly this works unless you're, you know, living in both of them. So, you know, I was introduced to John a while back, but I just met him in New Orleans at the Anomaly there, and like our first conversation, we spent 45 minutes talking about GR1, right? So we pulled off to the side and we chatted about the gear, and I talked to him about, you know, why things are built a certain way, and you know, it's just he probably got more information than he wanted, full disclosure. But then we did Urban Ops together, and you know, it was just like, man, I hear all this stuff about Ingress this and Ingress that, Niantic this and Niantic that, but let me tell you what, like, I'll follow John Hankey anywhere. He's got an awesome vision for Ingress and Niantic. He's got an awesome vision for the community, and just what he's doing is providing a lot of good in the world. And so, you know, it's really, really, really easy to get behind. And once we sort of synced up, it just takes time. You know, he's busy, I'm busy, everyone's busy. And once we synced up, it just made a lot more sense. So it took longer than we would have hoped, I guess, but we believe that the way forward is really strong.
Okay, so and then the Ingress GORUCK events start, and GORUCK are one of those guys that have been on more Ingress GORUCK events. So can you tell us about one of your most memorable memories of those events?
Well, I've been thinking about that, and that's really hard to do. But I'll tell you, the one that sticks with me the most is seeing the agents come back after they've been through the really hard challenge, and march into the anomaly area where everybody's meeting up for the after party and the announcements, and seeing the cheers and the appreciation that they got from all the other agents who had seen them working. And all the agents who see them working through the day, they don't see them very much, but they see that they're working really hard. And at every one that I've been to, it's been that way. The agents know what kind of information that the GORUCK teams won for their faction, and they know how hard they've been working, and that it was not just it's not nothing, as Jason would say. They've gone out and pushed their limits. That is the thing that really sticks with me. Of all the positive things, that's it. And although I do have to mention that spending all night in Hamamatsu on the coldest night that they've had in anybody's memory was quite memorable too. And it was really amazing how all the agents in Hamamatsu stuck with it and did such a fantastic job, even though it was so cold.
The one really quick for me was rolling into the main square in Portland, Oregon, and Joe Philly was there. Rest in peace. Love that guy. Just in our brief interaction with him, and we brought both factions in, and it was just sort of loud and energetic, and everyone was really proud of what they had accomplished in their event. And we did a little pump up. When I say go, you say ruck. When I say in, you say gress. Now the new one is when I say flash, you say shard. Right?
Oh no.
And everyone gets pumped up, and you've got all the agents from the anomaly there to sort of watch this elite crew roll in to where everyone is, and I don't think I'll forget that one anytime soon. It was really special.
Very cool. So I want to go back to something with Rock, excuse me. So one of the things that they say is that the hardest part is signing up. And on that note, what kind of advice would you have for Ingress players that are totally unfamiliar with GORUCK and they're considering signing up and participating in their first ever GORUCK Ingress event?
I would say that it's not so much physical as it is mental, and so yeah, you're going to feel a little bit anxious about it, but go ahead and do it and start walking and start rucking. Emily does a great video for training for GORUCK events. She says, put 20 pounds in your ruck, put on your ruck, turn on your scanner, and go play. And if you do that, you're training for the GORUCK event. Certainly we walk pretty fast. You know exactly how it goes, but we don't do anything to try to drive people out. It's a whole team. Everybody goes together. Everyone helps everyone. There's very little chance that you're going to drop out if you can walk. We tell everybody, put on your ruck, walk 5K and play Ingress while you're doing it, and if you could do that, you're probably ready to go for Urban Ops. Stealth Ops is a little bit longer, a little bit harder, but you don't need to start there. Start at Urban Ops.
What about push-ups?
Do the best you can.
You better practice with that ruck on.
Yeah, so I mean, look, people get wrapped around the axle a little bit on the physical nature of it. I mean, look, you do a couple push-ups. It's not a big deal, right? I mean, someone can always say do more push-ups. You do what you can, right? And you do as many as you can until you can't, and then it's probably time to move anyway. I mean, these events, it's important to stress this, that philosophically these events are designed to show people and to show the faction and to show the team what they can do together, not what they cannot do. Anybody can show up and say, hey, you can't do this. Like, do 1,000,000 push-ups. I can't do 1,000,000 push-ups, And so that's why the reaction has been so strong. It's been so positive from basically everyone who's shown up, is because it's always positive. throughout the entire event. Sure, there's a couple push-ups thrown in, but I mean, like, life's a tough place. Push-ups are tough. It's kind of the same deal.
Yeah, well, it's just important to try the different things, talk to people, and don't let it be the first. When you show up, don't let that be the first time you put 20 pounds in your ruck and try to figure out how to put it on. Try doing a push-up.
The movement is the biggest part, right? I mean, you just need to be able to move, and so ruckgress, right? That's how you train. You ruckgress instead of cargressing or walkgressing. I don't think walkgressing is actually a thing, but instead of that, like put just a little bit of weight on your back, and my mom's purse weighs 47 pounds, right? So you can do this. Trust me, you can do this. And you get a little bit more, fitness, and you get a little bit more prepared for the anomaly. Whether you're doing GORUCK or not, by the way, you get a little bit more prepared for the anomaly.
Yeah, one of the things that's been pretty encouraging, and I don't know if it was meant to be so, but there were so many times when I was thinking about signing up that people were like, well, if so-and-so can do this, you can do this. And so that was always one of those things in the back of my mind as I got to signing up. And one of the things, too, is that I've had a lot of friends that were involved in things like Warrior Dash and Tough Mudder. And Jason, what would you say makes GORUCK, either GORUCK, the regular challenges you guys host, or GORUCK and Ingress, what makes GORUCK so much different than those other endurance events, and why would somebody choose GORUCK over another event?
So do you remember the Apple ads where they said the only difference is everything, right? The only thing that's new is everything, or it was something like that. And I mean, the main difference is that Warrior Dash or Tough Mudder or Spartan Race, those companies move in and they set up an obstacle course, and then you pay to show up, and then you run the obstacle course, right? It's very impersonal. There's not a lot of human terrain in that, and what's made GORUCK special and different is that at all of our events, we bring a decorated combat veteran of special operations who shows up to lead your team, right? And so I've gotten a couple questions specifically from Europe about why it's someone that's in special operations or special forces, and it's a fair question. The main reason why is because we're building a team, and that requires leadership, and that requires experience, and all of our guys that we bring in to build this team and to provide this experience have experience basically doing this in a wartime environment. Now, here, there's no bullets flying, there's no guns, there's nothing like that. But you've got a guy, you've got a person who's pushing the team, and it's based upon how the team is performing. It's not based around what the last obstacle was that was already built. It's not based around this obstacle that's been built that you're doing right now, and it's not based around the next obstacle per se that's already been built. It's about how the team is doing and reacting to that, so that you push the people as they need to be pushed, and the faction and the team as they need to be pushed, right? And so it's a lot less predictable like that, but it also allows us to push everybody just a little bit more. So it's kind of completely different. It's a lot smaller classes, and it's led by a person. So it's a lot more in the human terrain than just an obstacle course on a piece of land.
Okay, well, do not underestimate the burster firepower, man. It is dangerous. So, before we get to the second half of our show, it is time for the weekly truth. This week we have Operation Essex to catch us up on developments in the Ingress storyline. So everybody, welcome Operation Essex investigator, Jim Typhoon. Oh man.
Hello. So how are y'all doing this evening?
Good.
Nice hat, Jim.
Ah, why, thank you, sir.
Hashtag badass.
Yeah, I did both the stealth and the urban in Orlando. It was great fun.
Awesome.
So,
Speaking of Orlando, which character was out there? Can you give us a little bit of detail about that?
Absolutely. Yes, happened to meet up with Jahan over the weekend, and she was there encouraging her side and making sure that everybody in the resistance was ready to fight and maybe trying to discourage us enlightened a little bit.
Very interesting. And do you think people were pretty pumped up about it?
I think so. She certainly got them going in the beginning, and we got ourselves going, so it all evened out.
She was gracious in defeat, though. I'll say that, right?
Absolutely.
Gracious in defeat, you know.
So, Jim, was there anything else that we should know about this week for the weekly truth?
Oh, absolutely. So we've now reached the end of the scene. The Circle of Obsidius has been awakened by the Acolyte. Now, we know that both Jahan and the Acolyte wanted to do so, but what we learned is that this shield had an unforeseen effect. As everybody has noticed, there's less XM on portals. And this is something that was discovered in the GORUCK challenges, is that there was Cybella and Obsidius had a vision of the portals being silenced, of the portals being hollowed out. And I think that's what we're experiencing right now. Now, it's clear that both sides want to do something about this. Oliver Linton Wolf has been working with the Acolyte to try to reverse the process, at least as far as we know. I don't know what efforts Jahan has been making, but I imagine she has her own efforts in place.
I don't know. I say the strong survive, right?
Very true.
There's less XM, whatever. Like the strong adapt and improvise and overcome, right?
Absolutely. I think that's an important message through all this, is that we, as Ingress agents, the world of XM is constantly changing. And this is yet another change that we have to adapt to. I think, frankly, in a lot of ways we're prepared for. I mean, after all, what came out just before Obsidian? Glossing cubes. That's a new, more meaningful tool for us now. But in any case, we now know the name of the new series, which is Aegis Nova. Now, if you may remember from last week, I mentioned the Aegis and the Enseal as being sort of two halves of the same coin. And I think what's going to go on is that the activation of Aegis Nova, whatever this may be, is going to be either the solution to this problem or the next step in this process.
Very cool.
Like I said, the strong survive.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's the theme of the week. Very appropriate.
Do you have any idea on how long this is going to last?
Well, that's the thing, is that it's not quite clear. In fact, it could be a permanent condition. After all, we have no idea what the portals were like before the Vesuvian Magnus. For all we know, they set everything into sort of a steady state, which we only saw a change in after the activation of Epiphany Night. So this may be something we have to deal with for quite some time.
I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
So this reminds me, it's kind of like this lesson that they taught me at SEER school, which is survival school, survival, evasion, resistance, escape. And there's this phrase called "go ugly early," right? And basically what it means, and it's crazy the tie-ins between military and Ingress and oftentimes business as well. It's funny, but go ugly early basically means don't wait until you're starving to eat something that's disgusting, like roadkill or whatever that is. So it's like, you might want to not eat all your power cubes right now, right immediately. You might want to figure out a way how to farm more and like start turning into a squirrel, saving some nuts for the wintertime or whatever the case may be. But so that's what I'm doing down here in Jax Beach, Florida. It's pretty awesome. I got a big store of power cubes and all that stuff. So I'm ready, right? Prepper style.
There you go. Well, I think one final aspect I'd like to mention about the Aegis, but the Aegis is actually, as far as we know, the term is originally Libyan in origin, and it is said to be in reference to a collection of ritual objects. Now, we know that the Aegis was the shield of Zeus and used by Athena, and it was said to have the face of the Gorgon upon it and work through fear. Now, the thing about the Aegis one has to remember is that the components of the Aegis are all defeated foes of the gods. So the question I have to ask is, are there remnants of defeated combatants in the Shaper and Nazir wars of the past that we have to seek out? Who knows?
Very cool. Well, thank you so much for being with us for the Weekly Truth today. I do want to turn it over to another special guest bringing us some goodies. It is Andrew Krug from Niantic Labs. Welcome, Andrew.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Literally, actually, from Niantic Labs. I'm here in San Francisco right now doing our thing. So, without further ado, let me put these up real quick. We have the codes of this show. They're good for, bam. Oh, not yet. Oh, did that not work?
Oh,
Let's try that
we
again.
couldn't pay for the
There
good
we go.
special effects.
Like that.
Ooh.
They're good for either 20 or 500 or 5,000 reshares and redeems. We're not really sure what's in them, but I can promise you there's going to be some good stuff. Maybe some power cubes, because you're going to need them now, right? So there's that. We'll leave that up on the screen a little bit. But you know what? Let me give you a little tour. So
Wow. Sneak peek.
there we go. There's the Bay Bridge. And then we got the TARDIS, our kitchen, and some graffiti. And I think if I go any further, I'll probably be out of a job. But leave it at that. So, but yeah, good times.
Very good.
Right.
So, ooh, that last one's a long one too.
I don't know if we really want to start reading them out.
Go
We
for
might
it.
want to give it
Instructions
just a
on my
couple
screen.
more seconds.
5.
Couple more seconds.
We should have Jason do it in like the phonetic Delta Mike November Mike.
6 Sierra Charlie Zulu 5 Golf etc.
I like that. All right. I think they went up there long enough. So, you guys have fun. Enjoy the rest of the show. I will be watching.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for the goodies,
Thank you, Andrew.
Andrew.
And now let's get back to our
That's a good dude, by the way.
to Andrew.
Yeah, that's a good dude.
Yeah, it's the beard, the man. Well, moving on to our next segment. It's time for Inside the Scanner. There is a new version of the scanner this week. So please welcome to Connor from FevGames, and let's see what is on the new scanner update.
What is up, everyone? It's pretty funny that we have a lot of Orlando people here. I mean, I double-rucked in Orlando, another guest double-rucked in Orlando, and CEO from Orlando. It's weird. Everyone's here. And just get that out of the way, since these are literally the hardest badges to earn in the game. It's good to say. If you get those, anytime you see someone else with that on your scanner, you'll know. But forget about that. Let's talk about the scanner. We got a new update, 1.97.1, and guess what it's bringing? Those good old portal submissions are coming back.
Yeah.
Except they're not everywhere, I'm sorry to say. It's going to start in Japan.
I don't know why it's that.
Yeah, it seems a lot of the sponsorships, if we look at the items, are all Japan-based. I mean, from the Access, SoftBank, and all Japan-based. So I just imagine that it'll start there. Now my guess, and this is just a guess, is that maybe a new backend for these portal submissions is coming with this change, and they're testing it in Japan. And maybe if it goes well, then that will spread further out to everywhere else. Now this we found inside the scanner, hence the name inside the scanner, so there's no actual, you will not notice this yet, or maybe not for a while even. What's funny is that we are at 1.97.1. We are approaching, well, you might go 1.100 dot something, or we might get a weird 2.00 dot something. It's just weird. We have been doing this for a long time, some of us almost 4 years now, and we are finally hitting that 2 marker if they decide to go that route, or they'll just hit that triple digits on the second number. So it was a small version, but a big change in regards that portal submissions are coming back regionally, since they have been gone for quite a while. But that pretty much does it with whatever is inside the scanner this week.
I can neither confirm nor deny that. Don't ask.
That is good. We won't ask anything. We'll just keep it a guessing.
Well, thank you, Connor. I think everybody's hoping that this test on Japan is gonna be quick because everybody wants to submit new portals.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone does, especially since people new to this game have started and never had the option to, create their own portal.
Yeah, but if you don't know any better, right? You don't know that. It's like there's a lot of portals out there, and it's always easy to beat Niantic up and say, like, get this up, and it's like but there's a lot of portals out there, right? And so you can look at why Japan. Like, go to some site that shows you website hits to ingress.com, right? And when you go there, you're gonna see that more hits come from Japan than anywhere else. So it makes sense that they would sort of focus on some of that stuff and say, hey, Japan really matters to us. And so I don't know. I got a couple portals I'd like to delete. I got a couple portals I'd like to add. Who doesn't, right? We all do. And it's like, but Niantic's got to focus on what they need to focus on. And if it's Japan now, like they're gonna work out their system, right? I have zero insider knowledge on this, by the way, like less than zero. But they've got to do what they've got to do, and Japan's a huge market, and there's a lot of awesome stuff that they can pioneer over there because the demand is really high. So I hope they do awesome stuff there, and then I hope they bring it back here and everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. Well, Japan, we all know it's a big market right now, so it's obviously they're the place to test everything, and it's okay as long as they bring.
How do we know it's going to be Japan?
It back to us. Oh well, I don't know, Connor.
So the Japan part we got from Japan has an Ingress Google Plus page that only posts in of languages I can't understand, but Google Translate said a limited submission period is coming, and then that correlated with the research I found in the newest APK. So, yeah.
Well, that's the reason. So let's go back to our lively discussion around English GORUCK. GORUCK, you have experience making and playing video games since 1970. Can you tell us about some of the technologies you've worked with?
That makes you really young, Rock.
Really young. Well, yeah. You want to know about like the old technology or the new technology? My very first game I ever wrote, I used what was called 5-level paper tape and a Flexowriter teletype machine and an old IBM mainframe that had to have a special tape to load the compiler, to load the program, that wiped out the compiler, that ran the program, printed a tape, and then you ran the tape back to the teletype to find out how the game went. And it was a fantasy basketball. And so what was the best thing that ever happened? Everything that made it better and easier and allowed you to be in the game more. That was the best technology. I've never seen anything that I thought was disappointing, but certainly I've always seen lots of surprises, and I've learned to never try to guess what all kinds of things people are going to do with game technology.
It is a long way from that to Ingress. From that first game you program to Ingress. So in that, in all the time, which are the biggest breakthroughs that you've seen on game development?
Well, that's tough. The biggest game it kind of depends on where you stand. So the development of much faster processors, the development of graphics processing units, which do a lot besides just do graphics, and really one of the things that's made it much better is the development of what we call game engines or game development engines that allow people to participate in the development of games without having to be a highly skilled programmer. And that way you get more imagination from artists and writers. You know, the thing, probably the best thing that's happened to games, in my opinion, is story. As people, that's how we perceive the world. We make stories out of stuff, and then we compare it to the story in our head, and that's how we get by. And so games that help you make a story out of the world, those are the games people like. But then, you know, there's always someone who's going to like cow clicking or cookie clicking too, so there's no accounting for it. But it's stories and narrative and all that part getting added in, I think, are the best part.
So breakthroughs, story on games and technology. And keeping with technology topic, Jason, what are your thoughts about trend in wearable technology, especially for fitness?
Sorry, my thoughts on what as far as fitness?
Yeah, what are your thoughts about this wearable technology that it's on trending right now, and well, obviously more focus on fitness?
Look, I mean, I think that's the, like, when they write this story in the future, they're going to talk about how video games went from someone sitting in the basement, you know, clicking on Halo, or in my case, the last video game I played was Zelda or Super Mario, one of the two, and except for the 1 hour of Halo I played in Iraq, right? And that was fun and all, but like sitting here some Click Ninja playing it like in front of a screen is just not that cool to me, to be really frank. And so I think that the vision that Ingress to me is pioneering and is representing is one of getting people out into the world. And you know, it took someone like John to sort of take Google Maps and marry that up with a game like Ingress and marry those two up with your cell phone and get you out into the world and to build these awesome communities as a part of this one awesome Ingress community. So I mean, I think it's pioneering how we're getting fitness in, because what I don't like in terms of fitness, and I've spent a fair amount of my life being ready for the next thing based upon what I could do physically, and what I don't like is going to the gym and lifting something just to lift it, or I don't like, you know, walking by myself for no purpose. I've done that, and it's been important to me because it was part of some larger mission of preparing for whatever America needed me to do or something like that, right? But I think that the community aspect of Ingress and getting out with a lot of people that are out just to be out to play Ingress, and oh yeah, you're getting fitness as well. And I think that that's the pioneering aspect of Ingress, and that's why we're just 1,000% behind it. And I mean, I think it's just incredible.
Any plans or ideas for integrate these technologies to GORUCK?
I mean, I think Ingress is the integration into GORUCK. It's not that, like, to take Ingress and integrate it into GORUCK isn't really the goal. I think the goal is to say Ingress is this awesome platform, and we want to be integrated into that. And so I think that the real pioneering spirit is to say there's all these live events, and they're everywhere. And by the way, we have a lot of live events too, but the marriage of Ingress and GORUCK represents sort of a new frontier where you get to do both, and it's just more of both. You get to do more Ingress, and you get to, because Ingress is not just hacking and linking. It's a community.
Yeah.
And getting to do more of that, isn't that the goal? I mean, that's my goal. that's my goal is being from the GORUCK side and integrating into GORUCK is to say, or sorry, integrating into Ingress is to say, we want to strengthen the community of Ingress, the communities plural of Ingress, and we want to do that by getting out and being a little bit more physical and pushing boundaries a little bit more. So that's our goal. I mean, our goal is to strengthen the Ingress community.
I think that the most amazing thing I've seen on Ingress GORUCK events is when everybody is trudging along on the really long hike, and one of the players comes up to the other one and sees that that person is really tired, or they're having trouble carrying what they're supposed to do, and I've seen it over and over. Hey, why don't you play for a few minutes and I'll carry that load for you and you can take a break? Or how are you doing? Are you drinking enough water? And those kinds of things where you have the Ingress players not just being stronger physically, but being stronger as a team. That's the really amazing thing, because you know they're going to take that knowledge and experience and go apply it to other things later on.
That sounds fantastic.
Very cool. Well, do you guys think you're ready to take a couple of questions from the audience?
Anything they got.
Let's do this. Okay. So this is a neat question from our very own cameraman. Carter asks, so GORUCK has its roots in the military, and both of you have ties there. Can you draw any correlations between the Ingress world and the military in terms of anomaly structure with other agents?
Wow.
That's an intense question.
That's an intense question. Rock, you're a lot smarter than I am. You get this one.
Wow. That's what people do really well, is they make up stories. Let me see if I can make up a story that goes with that. We're people, but as individuals, we're really not anything. And the only way that we really make things happen is as clans, groups, families, communities, factions, or whatever. And Ingress people, they're inventing some new ways to interact with each other and to group up, but most of it has been done before. And the good thing about it is that they're really rediscovering what the military has already learned and relearned over the years, and people in general. You have to make something really happen. You have to have a team. You need someone to take the lead and who communicates and over communicates so that everybody knows what's going on. The fact that most of our thinking is actually devoted to social thought and not to our individual thought is the real telltale there. We're social beings. It's not the ant, it's the anthill. It's not the person, it's the family, it's the community.
Well, speaking of the community,
it's basically it's based on the same human foundations,
And that's a good lead into our next question. Actually, it's for you, Jason, and it's from Rio5. Can you talk a little bit about your passion for cross-faction?
Ruth's great. So, look, I mean, I play on one side. So, has anyone seen Lord of the Rings?
Sure.
Anyone? Right. Like, here's the thing. There's two factions now. And again, I have no knowledge whatsoever of anything. But do you remember when the dwarfs and the elves, they hated each other, right? Until there was something else that came along, and all of a sudden, like, they've got to work together. You just have to. And so, I mean, it reminds me of, like, where is this all going to go? I have no idea. But, history is a guide. And, I mean, the way that America moved into Afghanistan after 9/11 was we linked up with the Northern Alliance, right? Are they our greatest ally in the universe? Probably not. You could think about Canada and Great Britain and stuff like that, right? But the Northern Alliance was there. right? And we linked up with them. And so, it's like you never know how things are gonna play out, and the world out there is sitting and saying like, oh no, but the resistance hates the enlightened, and I've got to win, and all these things. And I just think that there's a bigger picture at play. Sure, I play for the resistance. I'm very happy to play for the resistance, and I get out there and like I make our streets safe in Jaxby. Make no mistake about it. They are safe. Rock comes here, he better show up. Son of Nine, you better show up with just gear after gear after gear. Bring your Ultra Strikes, bring your level 8s. Like, right when you leave, it's right back up, right? Yeah. But my point is to say that there's always a bigger picture in mind. And we all play Ingress, right? It's really about a giant, massive, awesome community. And the more time that we get to spend doing awesome stuff together, doing awesome stuff together, then we're all winning, regardless of what your faction is. And so, yes, I play hard, but, I see a bigger picture.
And besides, you guys wouldn't get any AP if I didn't come in and burn down the town once a week.
Right, man. Thankfully, Joel Phillips is here. It was his first day today. First afternoon today. He drank his 4-year-old Yingling Light out of the ram's horn when he showed up. Yes, true story. And thankfully he's here because it's so blue around here because, again, the mean streets are patrolled. They're safe, right? And thankfully he's here though because we gotta get some AP down here because it's just like, recycling level 6 and 7 bursters gets old.
Oh no. Well,
story.
We have another good question in from our audience, and this really has to do with the community. Beauregard Bittner asks, is there any plan to make GORUCK and Ingress events for good, whether through charitable efforts or otherwise? And I'd like to follow that up with, are there any charities that you or GORUCK feels strongly about?
Charitable efforts. So service is kind of like a foundation and a core of what we do at GORUCK. I mean, the military is service. That's my background. It's the background of the guys that lead the events that are Ingress, GORUCK, and stuff like that. And like, by the way, I don't know, like John is served as well, like different capacity, but it's it's like it's foundational to who we are and what we do. So we always have our eye on that, not just the people that show up, but just at a big picture. So there's an organization called Team Red, White, and Blue that we do support heavily. Their goal is to promote, change to physical and social activity, right? So bring veterans together and get them active. Essentially, don't just be sedentary in life. Get out and move and be active. And so it reminds me of kind of what Ingress is about as well, which is getting people out and being active and part of a community. I would love to explore the opportunity to do something via Ingress. And by the way, Beauregard, thank you. Great question. Love to explore something what that looks like. We're just still in the early stages of the partnership. I think it's going to escalate a lot, but we'll see. I think there's a lot of opportunity though.
All right, and I've got one more viewer question. This is from Moo Musings, and he asks, Jason, are you aware about the involvement of secret government agencies and private corporations in the GORUCK events? What can you tell us?
Oh my God.
What? I don't know what to do with that.
Well, I mean,
government agents, yeah, I know what that means in theory, but there's so many people in this world with crazy backgrounds that have contributed to this. That there's a lot of secrets that we all have. Yes, that's the answer. Yes.
don't say anything.
Well, we know that GORUCK was instrumental in helping Niantic's very own Flint Dilley out of a bind. So, kudos to Big Maddie and his team out there. So, awesome. Thank you, everyone, for submitting those great viewer questions. I think now, Jorge,
Well,
do we...
now it's time, guys, for our BTS tradition. So we're going to give you 60 seconds to talk about whatever you want, to give a shout out to, I don't know, you can dance if you want. So why, Jason, why don't you start?
Cool. So we would not be here without Rock. So Rock is being very humble tonight. He's got a very extensive background, and he comes from the gaming world. He comes from the military world. He randomly, or actually not so randomly, found GORUCK by searching for GORUCK, and he linked up with Emily and linked up with John independently. And this took forever. It took a long time. So I can't stress enough how long things can take until they actually materialize. But the fact that things take so long, the fact that it took us a long time for this partnership to start to work and to show really positive signs is great. By the way, I just got a message from Emily. She said deny everything. So it just popped up, true story. But we would not be here without Rock, and we would not be here without Emily. And I'm really just riding the wave that they have pioneered, and they got John Hankey on board as well. And it takes so many people as part of a team, and I'm just really blessed and grateful to be a part of what we're doing internally at GORUCK and via Ingress, but also just I'm grateful to be a part of the Ingress community, because I'm having a lot of fun with the game, and I play every morning. I got my little man on the front loader, and we get out and we patrol the main streets of Jack's Beach. And so we'll keep expanding that all over the globe. So watch out, Enlightened, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
Game on. Bring it on.
Well,
Be gone.
now, Rock, is your time.
Boy, all those people that Jason mentioned, John, Big Daddy Croft, and Emily, but they're also, I can't name everyone. There are so many people who have put in their part in both communities to make this happen. Staff at Niantic, GORUCK staff. This wouldn't have happened if the cadre, the teams, the folks that lead the events did not embrace it and go after it and put their creativity behind it. It takes a lot of people, and I have to say, probably the most fateful thing I ever did, believe it or not, was play in an exercise with Flint Dilley in 2006 or 7, where he was the president of the United States and I was the president of the Game Developers Association of America, and that's probably the very first place you could point to back in history. So all those years of people staying in touch and talking about what they're doing and coming up with good ideas, that's what it takes every time. And thanks to everybody for playing along in this little story.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much to both of you for being with Behind the Scanner tonight. It was an absolute pleasure. We had so many questions for you. So.
Hey, no, I got something important to say.
All right.
There you go. There you go. Lick, lick.
Monster.
Hi, Monster. Aww.
Say hi to everybody. Say hi.
Oh.
This is really cool, Like within the community, I know that Behind the Scanner is just, everyone loves it, and it's just been really cool to be a part of it. So we're just grateful you had us on. And Monster now he loves you. He's got a crush on you.
I can tell it's in his eyes.
Well, thank you so much for that. Thank you, both Jason and Rock. We just loved having you on the show.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Hope everyone can join us next week.
Yeah, happy hacking.
Get that XM while you can. Oh.
Yay!
Wow. So check
New
out that
outro.
new cross-faction outro. Like those glyphs. So, Rock, Jason, do you guys glyph?
Jason's never missed a glyph.
Oh, fuck off, Rock. Yeah, so I seen Rock.
Wow.
He just sits here and he's like, and he's like, speed bonus, 99%, you know, and all this shit just comes pouring into him. Eventually, I gave in.